Manyavar presents CNBC TV 18's Indian business icons, leaders, trailblazers, radicals.
There was a store called Century Bazaar at Prabhadevi, and probably that was the departmental store at that point of time, and that used to bustle with a lot of activities. I remember going to that store. I remember that record player used to be popular at that time, and he had many departments. I have some vivid memories of that, and maybe something has stuck up. Okay, there should be stores like this when you grow up. I was never a good student, but I never failed ever. In college, I remember attending a class only once in my 4 years of college, and still I used to pass every year. So I think I was lucky in that sense. I think we used to stand outside the college, and we understood what was social interaction that time, and I think college was fun. You made a lot of friends, a lot of new things you discovered, watched every movie which used to come that time. So it was a different world. I think family had business, and I thought I wanted to do something different, and we were into textile trading business, and we had shops in Munji Jetha market, wholesale shops and so I used to go there after college and was trying to understand, and nothing. I realized maybe that's not my cup of tea, and I was very fond of advertising and marketing at that point of time. There used to be a lot of advertising of a brand called Double Bull, Cliff. They were the first ready-made garment brand in the country, and I thought I should do something like that. So I started creating fabric and supplying to Double Bull and the Cliffs of the world, and I met them and I supplied to everybody, and I realized I have to build my own brand. I think I learned supplying to the garment industry and how fragmented it was, how it was dependent on one person, and how one person used to take every decision from production planning to branding to advertising to selling to buying fabric. So it was a different world, and they were the kings at that time. And I remember waiting in the offices of so many big brands for 3 hours, 4 hours to collect payment. And from that time I made a principle: nobody in my office will ever wait for me ever. I think I've faced challenges every time I have done something, and I think challenges have never bothered me. I don't know whether I never remember that I thought I have to do something beyond business. Maybe I was very fond of music, so I thought I can become a musician. I was fond of advertising, and that's probably got me into business. I don't do much research. I have my own data, gut feel, my insights. I travel a lot, I meet a lot of people, I go to the stores. Always been doing that all my life. And in fact, during my college days also, I used to do a course every year. I've done export import, I've done computers, I've done weaving fabrics. I've tried to understand as many disciplines as possible into marketing, and so I think life has been about learning only all my life, and I think it continues so today. We are aware of what's happening around. We have macro data per se as such. We look at data in some sense, but data is the only not the only weapon which we use. I think data can be interpreted in many ways. If I had used the data to get into retailing at that time, the modern retail didn't exist, so data wouldn't have helped me. So I think it's the aspiration, it's the subjective thing, it's the right brain thinking, which I think I was when I look back, and I relied more on my right brain than on my left brain. I think creation, we have created many brands, we have created many retail formats, we have created many companies and businesses. So in terms of creation, we do creation virtually every day, and by destroying I mean destruction of thoughts. Some ideas just don't work out. I have destroyed many businesses. We were into salons, we were into gyms, we were into restaurants, we had a non-banking financial services company. So we did multiple things at multiple phases of life. I started as a yarn manufacturer, a fabric manufacturer, a garment manufacturer, and then into a retailer, and then into multiple businesses. And now I believe that till 2020, and I would only be in food, fashion and home as a category of business, and not wanting to be in anything else. I think without destruction there is no creation. So if you don't destroy something, you can't create anything. So when we came into garment business, we were destroying the tailoring as a thought. When we got into large format retail, if you look, it is a destruction of a thought of a bazaar, in a sense. So there are some, I think all our thoughts which has to be destroyed. Some thoughts have to be destroyed to create something new. I think we learn every day. Sometimes, I think in my early days when we started Big Bazaar, and when we used to see a lot of customers wearing half pants, and we knew they are from the financial community or from the advertising or the media fraternity, and they will be holding their trolleys and standing behind their wives because they have been working very hard during the weekdays, and on a weekend I think they have to follow the wife's instruction. And we knew what they are going to buy. We used to observe their trolley, and they were branded, they were wanting that particular brands, whatever is advertised is what they bought. So it was very interesting to observe the clothing of the people and the brands and the category and the assortment which they buy. And we used to guess and it used to come right. So that's how we honed up our skills a lot. I remember opening up my first pantaloon store in Gariyat 1997, and there were two incidents which happened with me. There was 2 days before the opening of the store. We were standing outside the store and a passerby came by and he started talking to me, you know, who is opening this store? There is some madman, he will lose his fortune and money. It's such a big store, you know what will be the electricity cost and all. So I didn't tell him who I was, and I heard him out. And after a few days, after 2 days of the opening of the store, I met a lady customer. She was very, very well dressed lady, probably has visited abroad many times, and she started talking to me that this store is a store from UK, and she started discussing about how Calcutta is proud to have a store like this. Now we have something from UK also has come into the store. So but I kept on telling her this is an Indian store, and she refused to believe it. So these are memories which are etched. I think for us to be relevant is to work with the younger generation. For me, I think my elder daughter is my advisor in terms of whatever I do. The younger daughter, I learn all the food trends and what's happening around in the younger generation as such. So I think both of them tells me every day something which I learn. I think younger daughter runs a concept called Food Hall, and she works quite independently. She has a mind of her own. She understands food more than all of us can understand, and she refers to me whenever she has a problem, and so I'm her problem solver. And whenever she is looking at doing something new, she'll bounce the idea with me. She's learned that art from me, that whenever you're thinking anything, bounce it on somebody, and from that you have to learn and observe and take the feedback and do whatever you feel like. So I think that's the younger daughter. The elder one has been my advisor. She knows everything what I am up to on a day-to-day basis. She runs a company called Future Ideas, which looks at the community's insights and how the society is changing and going to consume. Now she is part of the food company which we have formed, Future Consumer Enterprise, and we are building up the convenience stores. She is the part of that business, building up a lot of food and FMCG brands. So we are in touch on a day-to-day basis around business, gossip around business, a lot of juicy things about businesses and the people who work with us. I think our journey on food business has started now. We believe we've just acquired a dairy, a bakery, a brand called Nilgiris. We have built many FMCG brands along with us. We built one of the largest food processing facility in form of a food park. We are going to put up more than 40 factories out there. Many have started, many are about to start. It's a grand vision, and to sell whatever it is, we are looking at building up the front end, that is the convenience stores, the big bazaars, and the other food hall and the other formats of food. So for us, it's a dream come true, because right from the farm, if you look at the way we are building up the banana business, we used to sell probably all over India 5 tons of banana a day. We are now planning to sell more than 40 tons of banana. We are going to put up banana ripening plant everywhere. Same thing with every vegetable. Same thing is going to be with dairy. Same thing is going to be with many processed food products. I think the journey of the food has just started. We would be one company like Marks and Spencer is there in US. Like 80% of our food will be our own brands. India has so many customers, and the food tastes are emerging, changing. People are experimenting with a lot of cuisines, a lot of food. They want the Indian taste. You can't expect a multinational to come and create Indian taste of food. And if you look at the history of Kellogg's, they took 20 years for the kind of response they wanted for their breakfast cereal. They took virtually 2 decades. It takes time in India to change food habits. We believe we understand India, we understand the food habits, we understand food is equal to culture of the country. We are working a lot along how do you build the entire food business in a way which suits Indians and suits various parts of India and various communities, various ethnic groups. We believe we are very well placed with our distribution in place. I still stand by that statement. I remember that statement every day. And every day there are people who come and meet me, they definitely ask me about online. I think the euphoria definitely will settle down. And a lot of things will happen in that space. And the space will emerge in its own way. It is definitely a medium which is going to be there for a long period of time, but it will not remain in its original form. It will keep on emerging and keep on morphing itself into something else. So we might see a lot of dramatic shifts and changes happening in that space also. I think doing e-tailing today, when we started e-tailing, we thought e-tailing would be probably less expensive than opening a store. We thought the cost of doing e-tailing would be 13-14%, and our cost of doing the physical retail was around 16 to 18%. We thought there will be a cost benefit. But if you look at the cost of doing e-tailing, e-commerce companies are doing business at a cost of nearly 40-45% of their sales. And we can't afford that. Today there is no business which gives us this kind of margins. So I think they are giving subsidy from their own pockets today to the customer. So this has to settle down. I think once it settles down, our strategy will start unfolding. So we are waiting for this euphoria to die, and our businesses on the digital space will start then. I think we had to sell online is a medium which is there for real, and there are customers buying online. We can't afford it to operate at that cost, but there are people who are willing to operate at a much lesser cost for us than what we can operate. So I think Amazon or any other would have been a natural ally and a partner. And our relationship with Amazon, when we met them, I think they were. I think out of all the people we met, we build a lot of respect for Amazon, for the way they do business, for the way they conduct the meetings, the way they talk, the way they believe in relationship, and the way they value a relationship. I think that was exciting, and we thought we should work with them. I think you have to create some role models in your life. At various point of time in our life, we had to build role models, but these role models were in my formative days. That's why it remains. After that, there are many more role models which would have emerged for me in business as such. But these are two role models, like Dhirubhai Ambani for an Indian entrepreneur. I think there could not be any role model at that point of time for me. And Sam Walton, I read about him through the books which he wrote, and probably I remember reading that book 10 times, noting down each and every pages and every point and how I should build my business. And so in that sense, he was my guru. I think the biggest thing I remember about Sam Walton book was you have to get your merchandising right. The operations can follow later. And so I remember that quote, and that's the way we looked at our business always. That if your product is right, if your merchandising is right, operations you can fix up anytime. A lot of people start with fixing up operations first without getting the product right. The customer wants a product. They don't see your operations. I think we had not seen a cycle in our lifetime. When we started business in 1997, the large format of retail, we had only seen growth. We had not seen a down cycle in that sense. But we saw two down cycles coming, and one was the Lehman crisis, which came in and went away very fast. And then we saw another downturn just about to happen. And we didn't have a very strong balance sheet, and equity raising was not allowed for us as a retailer. So we had no other option but to see that we look at some businesses which can exit, which can make our balance sheet stronger, because all our competition which was coming in had very, very strong balance sheets. So I think there was no major crisis which we were handling at that point of time. But we thought, being a future group, looking at the future, we thought we should strengthen our balance sheet, and that's what we started working on. Everybody brings in something. You have to learn from everybody. So that was always the case for me all my journey of life. So McKinsey brings in their own knowledge, their own wisdom about various retailers from various parts of the world, how do they do business. We worked with them for nearly 3-4 years, and we learned a lot from them. And so did professionals always we used to have. So it was nothing new which was happening. We learned something earlier which we had never done, was looking at cost in a very different way. And that's what we started. That also was in a sense something which was a creative destruction, and which normally we never used to enjoy anything which was related to cost or which was related to operating efficiencies. Personally, I never used to enjoy this subject, and I think after the downturn I started enjoying the subject which were reviews regularly, looking at cost structures, looking at the profitability, looking at return on capital employed, looking at every investment which you make from a microscopic angle. I think that taught us a lot. I think we wanted to look at which are the businesses which we could divest because we were just rebuilding our strategy, and we had a lot of non-core business at that point of time. We had NBFC, we had insurance business, we had multiple other businesses, and in fact we started talking to some bankers on some possible sale through of some businesses, and the idea is we got an offer for Pantaloons. Somebody showed interest in Pantaloons. Pantaloons was never our first choice of selling something, but since the offer came in, we started getting into it reluctantly, but then it started materializing, and there were some incidents which happened which made us go towards that transaction. I had made a movie in 2002, I don't remember the exact time, and I learned from that movie that don't get attached to what you create. So probably this time there was no attachment per se as such. We had a lot of passion about the business what we run. We had a lot of emotions about Pantaloons, but I don't remember a single day we felt a regret or we felt that we have lost something. I think we had many businesses, and this was a 1600 crore business which we gave away at that point of time out of whatever business we had, and we recouped that business much faster. And I think by next year we are looking at doing more than 22,000 crores of business. So from where we started, I think it made us more stronger, to be very honest. When you lose something, I think you want to do more and more, and probably that helped us to do many more things later on. I think this innings is full of rigor, review, a lot of thesis around investments, and all about what not to do in life. I think this second innings is more exciting, to be very honest. I am looking at a new strategy wherein 10 million people, I want them to shop 1 lakh rupees a year in our stores. That mission is on. I want my food business to grow at 40% every year. That mission is on. I want to build a fashion house, the largest fashion house of the country, which houses many multiple brands. That's on the way. We are wanting to open more than 4,000 convenience stores by 2020. That is on the way. I think I've never, and I don't remember myself thinking so big ever. And the entire food business, I think, can be a game changer for the country as well as for us.
Manyavar presents CNBC TV 18's Indian Business Icons, Leaders, Trailblazers, Radicals.